Hello and welcome back. I've got a metalwork video for you today. Recently I've been customizing a little motorbike, and I've taken all the plastic bits and bobs off it, and I wanted to make some metal side covers to cover the gubbins under the seat. So this video shows you how easy it is to work with sheet aluminium to cut it and shape it and finish it off. Apologies for the video, it's a bit rough and ready. I had a lot of footage. I basically just put the camera on a stand and let it run for the whole duration, and obviously it took quite a few hours to make them, so I just had to cut out all the really boring bits and speed up the bits that took some time. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Right, here's the bit that I want to cover up under the seat here. So the first thing to do is grab a pizza box and make a template and draw it onto your aluminium. Don't forget to allow about 6 or 7 millimeters around the edge to allow it to fold over, and then just cut it out of your aluminium sheet. This is 2 millimeters. I think any thicker and you're going to struggle a bit. So I just used a cap here to round off the edges. Don't go too tight with the radius. I went a little bit too tight on that bottom one. And snip off the radiuses. It's quite difficult to jigsaw around tight corners. It's easy to bend the plate. And then I just filed up the edges to make it roughly right. And here I'm just marking the little bit that I'm going to fold over. It's a bit less than 1 centimeter. And I used a spanner, adjustable spanner here. I actually shortened it to make it so that it was easier to just get the depth right. And then you just work backwards and forwards a tiny bit at a time. And you want to get it at least halfway like this. And then you can dress it. I've got a vise here, but you can dress it over anything really, a block of wood or anything. And there you go, it's roughly 90 degrees here, but this will bend the plate, you'll see. So the next thing to do is to flatten it out with a block of wood on a flat surface. I've got an old marble top here. And this is the final dressing, so you can use a piece of wood here which is 90 degrees and just work your way around the edge, just tapping it and making it truly square. Sounds like a demented woodpecker. And you can use anything round in the corner. I've got a socket here. And don't worry about the distortion as well, the extra metal. Obviously the metal has to go somewhere when you bend it, and it goes up and out and all over. We'll sort that out in the next stage. And obviously with a motorcycle side panel you've got 2 to make. The first one will be a bit difficult, the second one will be a lot easier. I do like aluminium, it's so easy to work with. And there you go, it's all bent over and fairly flat. And there's a lot of marks obviously from the hammer, so you'll need to do some grinding. Here I'm just grinding off the bits that have stuck up to make it better. And you can go along the edges as well. This is a flat wheel, not a grinding wheel, by the way. And if you get an old one that's a bit worn out, it's a bit gentler. You can use sandpaper as well. And you don't really see the side so much once it's finished. And here I'm just sanding the surface. You go both ways just to get it nice and flat. Get rid of any marks and dings. If you've got some dents and things in it, you can use just ordinary car body filler. And there it is in place. Next is to drill the holes. Here I just put a bolt through the back of the hole and hold the plate where you want it. Like that, and get your gaps right. And then just wiggle the bolt at the back, and that'll scratch the aluminium at the back. So you can easily see where you need your holes. Always drill in stages, so start with a sort of 3 or 4 millimeter hole like this. If you drill a big hole straight away, you'll find it will wander off. I think I did this in 3 stages, I think. So this is sort of 5 millimeters. And here's the countersink, just to get rid of the sharp edge. You can put it in a drill as well, but you'd be a bit careful not to go too crazy with it. Yeah, aluminium often comes with this protective film actually, which I should have put on the outside thinking about it. And here I'm setting up the mount, so basically I'm just using a nut and bolt through the holes in the pedal carrier there. And you'll have to adjust the spacing sort of in and out by adding either washers behind the nut or adding another nut, and so on. And you want to make sure when you've got it finished and it's in the right place, there's not too much thread sticking out, because you'll probably use a chrome domed nut to finish it off, and obviously they are only a certain depth. So you only want sort of 4 or 5 millimeters of the bolt sticking through the aluminium. Right, here I'm lining the bottom to try and find out where the top hole goes. And that's under the seat. I've already got a hole in the frame here, so that's quite easy. Just to pop a bolt in and a nut on it. It's important that these are easy to take on and off for maintenance, so you want to get this bit right. You don't want to be struggling with it. And I did the same again, just actually tap it with a hammer here to mark the back of the plate. Yeah, and you can bend it like this. I felt it was following the tank a bit better if I just angled it in slightly there. Yeah, that should mark the back of the aluminium for the hole. Yep. That's it. So that's it in place in its raw form. But I wanted to put some holes in because I'd seen quite a few cafe racer style things on the internet. So I wanted to do a bit of a pattern on it, which took some deciding. But I ended up with a fan of holes. Now it's a lot of holes and it does take a lot of time. Always start again with a smaller drill. This is a 3mm bit, so I drilled them all first with a 3mm bit. But I thought that wasn't quite exciting enough, so I decided to go bigger to smaller to give the impression of speed, if you like. And again, once you've done all the holes, you want just a small amount of countersink on them all, just to get rid of that sharp edge, because paint isn't very good on very sharp edges. So basically just touch all the holes. And both sides as well, because it's quite rough on the back obviously when you've drilled the hole through. And then it's more sanding. Again, this is the flat disc, so it's a bit gentler than a grinding disc. But don't use this on the face because it'll be too harsh, but on the back here it's fine. And on the front I'll use my multi-tool. And there you go. So you've got big holes at the front, I think they're 10mm, working their way back to the 3. I did find I had to do a little bit of hand filing on some of these just to tidy them up. And there you go, in its raw form. But I decided to paint it black in the end. So you give it a coat or two of primer, and then it's best to sand in between primer and main coat. I think this was 800 grit, just to get rid of these little marks. Just a very gentle sand, you don't want to be sanding through to the metal. That's it. Get rid of the dust. I think I gave it 2 or 3 coats of just some regular black automotive paint. It's always the fun part, the painting, after all the work's done. It's quick and you get an instant result. So go around the edges first to just get that bit done. It's a bit difficult to hold this because I wanted the paint to go in the holes, so I didn't want to put it on anything in case the paint pulled through the holes. There's quite a narrow beam on this spray can, so it was a bit tricky. I was a bit too close maybe. And that's it. And you have to be patient, wait 15 minutes or so for it to dry. And then I gave it another 2 coats, I think. And here it is on the bike. I've still got a few more things to do to this bike, like dual sport tyres and finish off the plastic around the clocks. Otherwise, it's a great little bike to run around on for errands or to come down to the marina. It's cool. Right, thanks for watching, and if you found that useful or interesting, you know what to do. See you in the next one.